Hello, Liz Grace Christie here, also known as Mazes, Mazez. I'll be trying that hat on a lot more consistently as the year progresses. I'm doing my best to simplify. So, hi. Today, I have a very special presentation for you. It is a live recorded astrology consultation. We talk about a lot of things that I think you all would find interesting. We start with Atlantis, and then we go further back into Lemuria. Then we blast out into the cosmos and talk about Sirius, Vega, the concept of being the beginning and the end. And we also talk about the current shift in consciousness. If you're watching this, don't stop now because it's just about to get interesting. So you can see your chart. There you are. There's Arcturus. It's really close to your rising sign. And then, yeah, talking about Atlantis. I mean, I definitely feel like this is hands down a mirror of like what we were experiencing, like maybe during the fall of Atlantis and
Yeah.
like at the fall of Rome. It feels like this energy kind of like happens in these like massive transitions when like structures are gonna fail. Cause like I think Atlantis was the first like really physical civilization. Before that, we were a little bit more like lunar, and less like in these meat suits and like logical.
Yeah.
So yeah, it just feels like you're on to something if you're feeling like for sure.
Yeah. I've had, like,
Um,
past lives come up recently too from that. It's just been, like, a lot of resurfacing of that energy.
mhm. And yeah, your South Node is in Cancer, so that's gonna suggest that you have a lot of ancestral karma to work through. I didn't wanna use the word trauma for some reason, but just like maybe because in trauma almost feels like such an extreme word nowadays, but it's almost like healthy to have trauma, you know? So ancestral wounds and things like that that have been carried down in the lineage. And I know that sounds weird. It's like, why is it healthy? But it's like trauma exists because of like desire not being met in our like physical reality, basically.
Mhm.
And it's like also a kind of a part of life because if we like, in my opinion, like choose to incarnate on earth, we have to understand that a large part of it has to do with suffering. And when we exist on higher dimensional planes, the concept of suffering isn't as intimidating as it is for us down here. So it's like actually there's a lot of good things to come from suffering because suffering is the thing that inspires us to do better. And that's kind of like the whole game of life is taking time to see and listen internally, which is lunar, right? Which is being a little bit
Yeah.
more receptive. And I recall you saying like you felt linked to maybe like the end of the Lemurian age into Atlantis, right?
I feel like I've had multiple lifetimes in Atlantis, but I know my family was, like, a ruler or, like, spiritual leader of Atlantis, and I feel like there's a lot of trauma because my most recent past life, like, I definitely got, like, captured and, like, tortured and stuff, so I feel like
Mhm.
this life is, like, and I have like already like I'm definitely here to break like ancestral curses and stuff like that. I've already done a lot of work with that, but it's definitely like continuous thing for me.
Yeah, before you even said captured or tortured, I was like, I feel like you were captive in the
Yeah.
sense of like they
Well,
needed you. You were like almost like a royal captive. Like
I was,
it
yeah.
wasn't maybe on the outside you were like being taken care of, but you didn't have like any freedom kind of situation. Like they
Interesting.
needed your energy and your bloodline and your family energy to be like contained. Basically, is kind of what I'm
Yeah.
feeling. So
Yeah.
that like they can just have eyes on you. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't really that might be true.
That's just
I
what came to
know I know at one point it like maybe it was like that, but I know at one point it got like really fucked up, but
Well, I mean,
uh,
I wouldn't say it was a good thing. It's almost like a
yeah,
full situation where, like,
yeah,
yeah, you're in royalty, you have nice clothes, that's great, but that's not feeding your soul, and you're not able
yeah.
to really express yourself in proportion because 'cause you're being watched so much. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, I hear that, thank you.
It's almost like being misunderstood because, like, people would look at that, like, on an outward level and be like, "Oh, that girl is so lucky to be taken care of," but they don't know that, like, deep down inside that you're kinda being held prisoner against your will because of your
Yeah,
family is the
yep.
entity. Yeah, Pluto in the 2nd house, um, for some reason, I feel like that might even be signifying what we were talking about because the 2nd house is, like, how we gain wealth, like material wealth, and having Pluto there does feel like there is almost like an interesting underworld to you gaining wealth, and also Pluto represents, like, other people's money, and Pluto is also something we use in evolutionary astrology to, like, look at past lives and karma. So, that could be used as, like, an example astrologically of what I was just talking about as, like, that story of your family. Because it's interesting too, because your midheaven, your MC right here, which is, like, how people perceive you or how your, career is, it's very, like, direct. So it's like, "Hi, my name's Sage, and my career is XYZ." So, like, people can, like, categorize you. Does that make sense? That's the 10th house. It's very, like,
Yeah.
outward, but it's very closely trined to your Pluto here. So it's like, this is linked to your public persona is this, like, darker, more feminine, other people's money situation, um, like, everyone's kind of always dealing with everyone else's money, but I guess what I'm saying with you, it's almost like to excess of, like, people just wanna, like, give you a lot of money. But it doesn't mean that it's like you're not working for it. There's almost kind of like this thing you have to unwind and undo before you can get it to start working for you properly, I think. Just because the South Node is karma, your Cancer's there, and then well, karma in the way of, like, baggage, I guess. And then this right here, Pluto says, like, this is something that's been around for a really long time. And, like, I'm almost, like, imagining, like, a serpent, like, coiled around, like, something that you can't get to. But, um, yeah, it's a interesting complex because it's, like, on one end, you're always gonna be taken care of, but I think you're gonna have to be really conscious of, like, how you're receiving money from other people so that you don't get manipulated.
Makes
I just
sense,
I
yeah.
just think through, so
Well, yeah, I am a dancer, so that does make a lot of fucking sense,
yeah.
And I do feel like in the past, how and I feel like people have tried to like manipulate me with that kind of stuff before, and like, but I feel like I've reached a point where it's like I like won't let that happen, or won't let because people in the past have tried to like control me, right? And it's like
Mhm.
I'm definitely at a place where like that's not happening ever again, you
Right.
know? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you got this nice, like, the Leo stuff too that I feel like is helpful with you kinda always having, like, a creative impulse, like, that's keeping you that's, like, kinda saving you, you know? Because I feel like creativity is one of the most, like, miraculous things ever because you could literally be insulted and, like, torn apart, but if you still have, like, a creative spark inside of you, that's gonna, like, help you be more regenerative and, like, birth into new spaces. So, I'm, like, curious what your I guess we could look at transits, but let me see.
Okay.
Um, so this is, like, current transits right now, and oh, you got Jupiter right on your midheaven. That's nice. I don't know if you're, like it feels like yeah, are you experiencing a little bit of momentum in your career right now?
Yeah, I am. I'm like I've kind of like reached a breakthrough point with like my just like really working on myself like really deeply spiritually and like learning to find like the self-worth within myself, and it's like it's starting to reflect into like my reality, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's awesome because Jupiter there is like helpful and it's like dancing around this part of you that is more publicly seen. It's also Capricorn season. So yeah, I guess you are also experiencing like a lot of experiences of the other, right? Because like look at this over here. It's
Oh,
opposing these
fuck yeah,
things.
dude. Yeah, I am
Yeah.
experiencing more attention from people for sure. Like right now, I'm noticing like uptick, and also definitely the spiritual shifts for me have been absolutely insane. Like I
Yeah,
just, it's like I like there's a point where it's like I'm like reach a new level, and I'm like, oh wow, and then I like reach another one, and I'm like, what the fuck?
right? Well, that's like pretty on point for what's happening right now. I think people are really actually starting to experience like more 5D consciousness because it's really understanding how our brains work, I guess, and how like thoughts really influence us so much in the programs we run. And like, yeah, for me personally, I feel like I've just noticed like more
Yeah,
people kind of having certain conversations that are giving me clues that I'm like, okay, I don't have these conversations with that many people, but it is becoming more abundant. And so I'm starting to see like that as the consciousness shift is just like
yeah, it's
a
strong
lot
right
more
now.
communication with people. And I feel like people being more vulnerable and like less attached to outcome in situations, which is allowing for that vulnerability, which is
Yeah.
nice. Yeah.
That is nice. That's a hard one to work through. I still struggle with that sometimes, but I'm a fucking human. I'm in a
Yeah.
human
It's all about
body.
experimenting. You have to experiment.
Yeah.
I struggle
I
with it too.
I definitely am starting to feel things from like a higher consciousness. And it's like sometimes it's really disorienting.
Right. Yeah. I don't know if you felt influenced by the Three Eye Atlas situation or like, do you have any like names or images or maybe symbols that have been like you're saying communicated with from higher dimensions? Like, is there anything kind of like rudimentary that stands out that you could share that
Like
could
like
potentially
a
be what they are or where they're coming from?
there's a lot. Definitely been having a lot of stuff from Atlantis come back, to me. I'm always, like, really connected to, like I have, like, Venus, like, the rose, Venus is, like, a part of, like, my bloodline, and, from what I've learned from, like, spiritual deep diving, um, I'm really influenced by, like, just stories in general, and I feel like I work with different entities and different beings depending on, like, where I'm at, Definitely, like, I work with, like, Lilith, like, Hecate, like, pretty frequently. I don't know if
Mhm.
that's what you meant, but, like, this is just how
Yeah,
I
no, that's helpful.
with how I interact with the spirit world, and, like, um, some of the animals that have been prevalent for me. I had, like, a dream where, like, a panther, like, went into me, and then, like, I work with, like, owl too, like, right
Mhm.
now. Those are, like, the things I'm working with, like, at the
Owl
moment.
and panther?
Huh?
Did you say a panther?
Yeah, like, I had a dream where it's like, so I've noticed in dreams, like sometimes I've like run away from like the spirit animal coming into me, but like I've kind of reached a point where I'm like, I stand my ground. It like went into me.
Oh, yeah. Cool. Yeah, and that's definitely a sign that, an animal that is working with you.
What?
That's a sign that an animal is definitely working with you if you merge with
Yeah,
it, like, in a dream state or, like, a shamanic state. That's definitely, like, one of your you can trust that. That's, like, your soul speaking to you. So,
yeah. Okay.
that's cool. It's funny, like, I've had experiences where I merge with, like, a animal, and then it will take me a while to realize that, like, that animal is, like, my part of me. It's
Yeah,
almost like too natural that, like, when we analyze like, and do analysis on ourselves, we like, will almost, like, skip really simple things. But, yeah, so I would trust that. Um, so I the owl is, I know, associated with Athena, um,
okay.
and I don't know what a panther is associated with, but I almost wanna say it's associated with Dionysus, but I'm not 100% sure. I would just have to look at that later. Um, so I'm not gonna really talk about the panther that much 'cause I just don't know that much off the top of my head. But, yeah, owl energy is Pallas Athena, which is a lot to do with knowledge, which is a lot to do with actually the concept of the fall of the feminine. Because the second that we started having laws, and, like, conceptualizing time and space is, like, when the feminine basically, like, eroded. And that can be a little hard to, like, unpack. Just kinda like how I was saying, it's really the simple things are hard for us sometimes, but it's really getting to the point of understanding that, like, language is a secondary function to what the brain actually offers, and if anything, we've just programmed the brain into conceptualizing certain things, which is knowledge. So Pallas Athena is a female figure that was born from Zeus's head. She is virginal. Um, she is also associated with, like, craftsmanship, like making things from the earth, the elements, and, like, constructing them into tools. And the reason I think that they chose a woman to represent knowledge is because it's just that it represents that the female energy has agreed to accept this program. And Pallas Athena is the guardian of that, like, basically of the threshold of knowledge and not knowledge. And she has actually a pretty negative relationship with most of the pantheon feminine in Greek and Roman mythology. And I think that's also just kind of giving you a little bit of a clue to why. It's because she literally represents agreeing to a program that never existed before, which is knowledge, which is the fruit of knowledge, right? Like, it's pretty crazy. I recently just unpacked all that for myself, but I would say, like, hearing what you shared with me with that concept of, like, this liminal time, also, like, feeling connected to Hecate, she's, like, all about liminal spaces, and it just sounds like what I'm describing to you is, like, there's something in your blood that, like, witnessed what I just articulated, and that's, like, really ancient knowledge that is very hard, in my opinion, for most people to conceptualize. Because it's like, imagine when the first person made salsa. Like, was any of us around for salsa? But now that's like one of the best, like, everyone around the world basically loves a salsa, like fresh tomatoes, like whoever created that in the beginning, like we weren't there for that, but we accept it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So yeah, those witnesses basically carry that like information of that like secret recipe for the rest of their lives, basically. But not everyone has access to that. So yeah.
Cool. Love
Mhm.
that.
Yeah. So that's really fun to think about. I'm gonna see in your chart though, because like you can look at Pallas Athena as an asteroid, where she's at. So she's right here in Sagittarius. Okay. At 14 degrees. And
Like by my Venus, kinda, right?
yeah, right there. They're like 10 degrees apart, but I mean, we could put them together because they're definitely probably influencing one another. So I would say, yeah, that's just like I didn't even have to look at your chart, but that's like definitely a significant placement for Pallas Athena. And then it's trining Eris. And usually,
Mm.
like, we don't look at Eris too much because she moves super slow. But the fact that this is like a 2-degree orb means that they're kind of working together, which is ironic because they definitely don't get along. But one thing I know about Eris is she also signifies this shift from like the feminine to more masculine perspective because she gets really upset in this story because she doesn't get invited to this like really awesome wedding that all the other Olympian gods and goddesses were invited to. And so to disrupt it and like get some revenge, she like throws a golden apple into this like wedding party. And this golden apple says for the fairest of them all. And she like directly throws it into like the center of this like table of goddesses. Like it was Venus, Pallas Athena, um, and Hera. slash Juno, which is like Zeus's wife. And they like immediately get entranced with the apple, and then like a beauty contest like breaks out.
Uh,
And then basically the Trojan War, the first war ever recorded in human history, happens as a result of this beauty contest. So what does that say? So beauty contest means for the first time ever now, we're drawing opinions and creating
yeah,
lines of what
I
is
see what you're saying.
beautiful and what is not beautiful anymore.
Okay.
And that
So
was
it's
the
to
beginning of
create.
war. Yeah.
Oh,
So that
okay,
yeah,
it finally clicked in me a little bit, and we are kind of like going back into the feminine because we're trying to, at least a lot of people are trying to not define what beauty is and not define like what
right?
is beautiful and like what is sacred, and like all is sacred, all is one. But it's like, well, yeah, when the masculine, too much of the masculine and rules and stuff
It
came in,
creates the duality of
yeah,
this
it
is
came
pretty
in
and
and
this isn't
created this
pretty. You're
duality.
beautiful, you're not beautiful. This is us, this is
Yeah,
them. Or
yeah, it's like the yin and yang too.
yeah, and
Finally clicked to my head.
it's not like whenever I get into these conversations, and luckily like most people I talk to don't immediately go to this, like I like there's certain things we had to gain from like the patriarchy.
I think so too,
It's
yeah.
true. It's true. Like the pendulum is gonna swing both ways for us to experience what we're experiencing right now. So like, yeah, just like putting that out there, I think is important
So
because we're
so
moving into
something
like the synthesis, basically.
yeah, so something I really wanna share right now, sorry, I didn't mean to
No
interrupt what you were
worries.
saying. One of the visions I had when I got captured in Atlantis and like tortured, like I was like shackled, but I was in the dark for a long time. But like in the dark, I gained this power from the underworld. Like it's like I had to go, and that's what reminded what you were saying, same, but different, like a parallel, right? Like I had to go, like the divine feminine, I had to go into because I have a lot of, even though I'm like non-binary or whatever, I still have like massive divine feminine energy. It's just who I am. It's just, I've accepted it at this point.
Mhm,
Um, is that I had to go through deep into the underworld to like gain to get something to get. I don't like. I still don't fully understand what it is. You know,
mhm,
in the underworld that I had to bring up. I had to bring up this power from the underworld to the surface because then I emerged on a beach and then I was like taken in by the divine feminine. So it was like,
mhm.
yeah, I had to go into the darkness to come like something. It got something from that.
That makes sense. I mean, a lot of people have to go to the underworld to get something from it. The Christian like conceptualization of the underworld is just really limiting. It's not simply hell. There's
No,
a lot of things you can gain from there, and I think that's when you like kind of start doing a lot more spiritual work. I feel like a lot of us end up actually visiting the underworld a lot more than we would expect, because it's kind of a way for us to like face ourselves better and to realize that like we're protected and emerge from that, and then we'll be able to go into higher dimensions, essentially. Uh, like the story of Persephone is definitely one that like talks about going into the underworld, and she's one of the only goddesses that, in a way, gets like a empowering arc because she, yeah, is the queen of the underworld. She was abducted, which some people will say she was raped. Um, whatever have you. It's just more like she gets this position of becoming queen of the underworld. Her mom fights for her in a way that makes it so she can spend 6 months in the middle world and then 6 months in the underworld, and what you kinda start to realize with Persephone when you, like, study other myths outside of just, like, the traditional one that talks about the seasons, um, that you see Persephone and Hades when they, like, appear in stories, like, as equals. Like, Hades is always including Persephone's opinion into situations, and so you get this kind of, like, feeling that she's not really, like she wants to be there. Like, there's a part of her that's, like, being able to develop her, like, independence and individuality through
yeah,
this experience in the
through the
underworld.
world, through the shadows, like
Yeah,
shadows. I'm, like, really comfortable in the underworld.
Yeah.
Like, I'll go there and I'll meditate, and I'll be so comfortable there, like, I don't know.
It's not it's yeah, we have this fear with demonic, like demon, that word. And I know some
Yeah,
people like trigger warning, like whatever, but some people even saying that word can be like hard for them. And I know that for some like energy healers, it's just because they're so energetically sensitive that even like thinking about it, like they feel like they're gonna conjure something and they don't want to deal with it. But it's almost like we have to like decriminalize, that's what I was gonna say, decriminalize demons
mhm.
because they only exist because there's so much fear and hatred in the world.
Well, and they're, like, reflections of us, and it's,
Yeah, it's
like,
not
bringing them to the light, and there's, like, power in our demons and our shadows, you
yeah,
know?
and they just match energy frequencies.
Yeah,
And, like, any person that works in that, like, multidimensional realm that, like, helps, um, I don't wanna say rid people of demonic presences, but kind of, like, transmute presences
yeah.
to, like, move on to where they're, like,
Take them back
energetically
to
more
the earth
balanced.
or,
Yeah.
yeah,
Like, we'll be, like, the first people to tell you that, like, a lot of these beings, these energetic presences, like, just are big babies. Like, they're
yeah,
big children, and they don't feel seen, and so they go about trying to feel seen through, like, finding other people that don't feel seen,
yeah,
and,
makes
like,
sense.
energy matching with them and becoming one with them, and in my opinion, like, a lot of ailments are due to the fact that, like, we frequently match with things that are invisible, you know?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Like,
Um,
obviously, like, modern medicine can help with a lot of other things, but just, like, praying for one another is also extremely powerful, like
yeah. A lot
yeah,
of people have entities and they don't even know it. Yeah, I had a bunch. I got rid of all of them. I'm really grateful.
yeah. Cool, well, that was a good little entity tangent. Um, you got your anoretic sun, 0 degrees, Saturn. Yeah, that makes me feel like you have, like, a bigger mission to deal with throughout life. Did anything significant happen to you when you were, like, 8 years old, or no?
No,
No? Okay, because
I
sometimes,
don't
like
know. I don't remember.
well, if you think of something, let me know later.
Yeah.
Because
Well,
you just have Saturn degrees.
I had a lot of like trauma and stuff from a kid that like I had a lot of, maybe I had like a lot of gifts emerge, that my family was afraid of. So it's like I'm still unwinding like the trauma from my
Like
spiritual psychic gifts.
very strict almost, or just, like,
No, it was just they were
protective?
afraid because I exposed I exposed their shadows, you know. When I
Right.
saw things and they told me they weren't real, you
Mm,
know?
yeah. It also looks like your Chiron's opposing this Saturn, so, yeah, family. It's interesting because yeah, the sun means restriction I'm sorry, Saturn implies restrictions and limitations, and then, like, it opposing your this Chiron in Leo feels like, yeah, you're mirroring something that they don't wanna even deal with, which kind of, like, echoes what we were saying, but there's probably more layers to it, more than just, like, this bloodline that existed during the beginning and end of, like, 2 eras.
Yeah.
Yeah. It just feels like there's, like, a secret recipe you got in there, and that's
Yeah.
probably you were being watched, like, not allowed to have, like, that much freedom in a past life, which only kinda sounds similar. It feels like same, but different to what you just described just now with, like, your upbringing as a kid, I guess, which is interesting. Yeah.
It's definitely like I definitely had a lot of I've done a lot of work on my bloodline and like kind of bringing back like soul part that got cut off from it and it's like it's a crazy thing to think about too and it's like it's a very powerful thing and it's like something I've really had to like be like how the fuck do I use this? Like what am I doing? Like not having any roadmap for even like understanding, like kind of understanding, but just like trusting when it I don't know, when the universe tells me, like,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's fucking wild.
Surrendering, basically.
Yeah. Totally. Yeah.
Surrender process.
Yeah.
It's intense. But yeah, and then you got 11th house stuff. So I feel like I'm like, show business. Yes, you're on a good path. Your north node is in Capricorn. So like you're definitely meant to be seen. And then it's like charged by the Mars and then Uranus. So that's gonna make you
Mer-
have like an edge that most people
and
like.
Mercury too, right?
Yeah, you got a lot, right? Oh yeah, and then it's conjunct Neptune. That's cool. Neptune in our charts usually like kind of creates like a veil of mystery around things, but I think sometimes that can be like to our benefit. Um, because it's like now you have like a really dreamy way of talking, even though it's in Capricorn, which is a little bit more direct, you know? So it's like
Mhm.
it's a it's almost like magical. It's like a nice like ocean that like a bay with a bunch of fog.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, pretty. Um, and then series. And I remember the last time I gave you a reading, like I was telling you, like you just have like a big old like lineup
Lot
of
of
all the
stuff.
goddesses. So, and then um Pallas Athena is conjunct Antares, which is like a fixed star point. And in galactic astrology, Antares represents like a stargate. It's not like anyone's really from Antares. It's like people just go to Antares and like connect. So basically, what you get from that is this kind of like communication aspect that's important with you in your life. And then also, you're saying like you feel like you get information from a lot of things. And sometimes it's like you can't really like pin down what like one sick like thing that's saying it to you or whatever. Um, that I feel like Antares like supports that because it's this big red star. And I think it's the Scorpion's, like, stinger?
Oh damn. That's
Yeah, yeah, and you see it during the summertime. But yeah, Antares is, like, basically a place that is very important because I think it connects people to, like, different dimensions. So if you, like, imagine, like, beings, like, going there for very intentional reasons, that's why I'm coming up with this concept that, like, if you feel like you're getting a lot of information, it's because you're basically like a Stargate or, like, converging points. So people can, like, go to other places, and I have, like, Antares signatures in my chart, and, like, how I
yeah.
experience it is, like, just, like, a lot of information coming in, and it's usually just in my own voice. And I think it's, like, that concept of what I'm saying, it's, like, beings going there to travel. It's like a transit center for, like, the whole universe, though, uh,
Cool.
which is, like think about it in storybook form because it's easier for your brain to conceptualize, but even if you don't fuck around with galactic astrology, essentially what that's saying to you is what I said, it's, like, information, gateway, like, you're gonna be a little bit more, maybe intuitive on forecasts, like things that are gonna happen, like you might have, for example, like fashion forecasting, like sometimes you may have had experiences in your life where you're like, "This is gonna get popular, I already know it." But it doesn't, and then it does. Um, like, takes a while for it to get big, right? So, yeah, you probably have forecasting abilities.
I do. I see the
Yeah.
future a lot. Sometimes I see like more than one at once, and then I like get like kind of like spun out because I'm like, what's gonna happen? You know?
Yeah, and it can feel so natural sometimes too that, like, it's hard to articulate it with other people, I think sometimes. And that can, like,
Yeah.
make you feel crazy because if you're it's kind of like you're living and breathing in the information, right? Because it's not necessarily coming to you in, like, a normal dial it's like words, images, feelings, sensations, like,
Yeah.
I often will find that sometimes I'll, like, wanna share things that I have, like, intuitively, like, I just know, but I sound stupid when I share it with people, and then I, like, feel crazy. So I, like, feel like the best thing I can do is just kind of, like, be expressive through my art and communicate in non-linear senses like this information, because it's not linear and, like, it can feel crazy because it's, like, a lot to, take in and then not be able to, like, release valve out, I think, right?
Yeah, it's like you have to really ground yourself, and, like, kinda
Yeah,
like when it all comes, like, in waves too. It's like it'll be, like, a bunch, and then it'll be like, "Oh," it'll be like a period of, like, chill, and then it'll be like, you
right.
know? That's how it
Yeah,
it is. I get, like, waves of, like, just, um, I don't know, universe, I guess, and I do feel like, um, I don't know if I originated on Earth. I've been around for a long ass time. And I know I've traveled to, like, different stars stuff, and I know time isn't necessarily real, and I've traveled all over to different places, but it's like this life is really important for some reason. It's like because it mirrors like the Atlantis, and I had to like learn a bunch of stuff from like the other like places to I
mhm.
don't know bring
Yeah, I
bring
hear
back.
you. Um, yeah, I mean, the you might not have originated on Earth. I mean, it's yeah, timelines are weird. It's I kinda see it almost as like a loop,
Like a
you know?
spiral, yeah.
Yeah, or something that's, like, kind of just feeding into itself, so there really isn't, like, a beginning and end.
Yeah,
Um,
totally.
I just added a bunch of, like, more fixed stars because I realized I didn't have all of them on here, but sometimes it's nice to not have everything on there. Oh, look, there's Hecate right there in your 12th house, conjunct
That
Arcturus.
makes that makes sense.
Um, and then, yeah, you got Sirius so you're conjunct Sirius in your south node in Cancer, which is conjunct your MC. So, yeah, that's gonna link you to, like, more, like, primal races, I guess, to say, of whatever, like, I don't really like root races. I don't really see if you are existing in interdimensional timelines, like, the way that we conceptualize things isn't how it actually is, so, like, to, like, even
Yeah.
a race is, like, weird, but, like, just for, like, the sake of whatever I'm gonna say, like, I'll just say it like that. But it's like there's Lyra, right? Like, in all this
Yeah. Yeah, I feel
popular
really
lore out there at this point, it's like people talk about it over the dinner table, like, Lyra, the cradle of Lyra. That's, like, considered to be the birthplace of, like, our genetic DNA. So, Sirius, that star, um, opposes Lyra, and I know it's in 14 degrees over here, and that's where your Uranus is. So that's saying, like, yeah, you're, like, definitely seeing in the stars that there's, like, a root to, like, you feeling more ancient, and, like, how I experience it or say it is, like, I feel like the beginning and the end, right? It's like, yeah, you would come to at this time in this timeline of things because things are dying, and that's, like, your role in whatever the heck the game of whatever the universe is, and right now life is to, like, see the beginning and ending of things, basically, right? So it's like, yeah, you would be there in the beginning of genetic formalization, right? Of, like,
yeah.
whatever created us into getting this far to be
But I
matter.
can, like, really feel it, like, more than
Yeah,
others maybe could. Yeah.
yeah, and, like, for me, like, what's coming to mind is, like, whenever like, whenever I use hallucinogenics, like mushrooms and stuff like that, I, like it's almost like my body grows roots and I'm, like, start, like, getting suction cupped into the ground or something, like and I'm sharing that because I feel like that might be, like, maybe a helpful indicator for people to realize that they might be a root genome, like a seed, like
Okay,
something,
that makes sense.
like something like
Like,
that,
just, like, an older, like, stream of
like
consciousness.
something that's here that's like the beginning and the end, like to help
Yeah.
catalyst,
Yeah.
like something growing, right? Like
Yeah. Yeah,
that's
that makes
why, like, I specifically recently when I use like hallucinogens, it's like the earth like wants to communicate with me so bad. And that was actually something I got from that. And just like what you related with me was made me think like, yeah, I think this is a thing. I think people might be coming online right now in particular if they are holding a certain like codex in their blood that is what I could consider like a seed race. Like people call it star seeds, right? But I don't know. I feel like we're like more earthbound, but like all that interdimensional and galactic stuff is like a reflection of the beginning of whatever, like Lyra, right? Like we think
Mhm.
about that whole cosmology. And even scientifically, like the cradle of Lyra is where a bunch of star dust is. That's where like literally nebulas are being born or like exploded, whatever. It's the beginning and end right there. So
Oh yeah.
I would say, yeah, you probably have like a timeline in that way, an imaginative space to step into to like start experiencing things like that. Seriously, yeah, especially because of the Uranus here, and then it's opposing Sirius, and in the lore too of like Lyra. So eventually, like the beings that lived on Lyra, um, it turned to Vega or Vega. Oh, Vega. That's what I was trying to say. Vega is at 14 degrees of Capricorn, which I don't know how versed you are, but basically like there was Lyra and then there's Vega and um they were once like more unified, but as time went on, they kind of became more distinguished.
Okay.
And Vega somehow these things got destroyed, the planets, both of them, because they started warring with each other.
Mhm.
But Vega, the Vegans, um, retreated to Sirius, so, like, across the pond over here.
Okay.
Um, so that's gonna, like, kinda fo gonna link and help you follow that thread of the sacred feminine a little bit more, because Lyra is a little bit more, divine masculine in its energy, and
Okay.
then Vega is more divine feminine in the simplest terms.
So
Um,
yeah, that's such a reflection, yeah, of
yeah.
like of here in the like separating, coming together, separating.
It just keeps happening over and over and over again. Like I was
Crazy.
saying in the beginning was like, trauma is a necessary step in this whole reality. Like we have to have friction in order to have matter. And how I kind of understand all this is very unlogical. I just think of it as like there was a goal by some higher creator to like do density. And this is what it looks like. And this is the steps it took to just get there. So like people have created all these dogmas, all these mythologies around it, but essentially it's just like one big game and we all get to like tune into the rules and understand them, and once we do we can like really start creating and manifesting like in a way that's unified with like God basically, because that's what I call the universe is God. But that's like that trust thing. The more we trust ourselves and we trust the universe, like and like the blueprint we came here with, like the game will naturally just kind of help you along the way,
Yes,
you
and then the
know?
more you see it, the more you're like, "Okay," like, and then you'll doubt it, and then it'll, like but then it'll, like, keep, like, being it's like but then you, like, trust, and then it's like then you keep trusting more because
Yeah,
you know
like
what I mean?
secret doors open, like weird shit you never
Yeah,
expected
you're
to
like,
happen.
"Whoa."
Yeah, like it's crazy.
Cool.
Yeah.
Alright. Tell me about my, near future, my birthday, maybe next year, just a little bit, just a little
Yeah,
bit.
yeah, 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 those are fun. I like looking at them because it gives you like
Well,
a flavor for the year basically.
yeah, yeah.
Um, I have to remember how to do it.
Oh, yeah, you good.
Been a while. Oh, here we go, that's it. Easy. Okay, so this is this year. And it looks like you're gonna be a Capricorn rising as opposed to a Libra. And
So
your
you have, like, a different rising each year?
yeah, because it adjusts the time. It's
Okay.
rare that you're ever, like, gonna have the same degree of sun because it's based off of the degree
Oh,
of the sun. So,
that's
your sun natally is at 0 degrees, 23 minutes, and then every year it shifts a little bit.
okay.
It's never gonna be on the same
Well,
time. It's like I mean, maybe, I
nice.
don't wanna say never, but anyways, that's how it works. So, because the ascendant shifts with time,
I
you
didn't
get a
know
new
that.
ascendant for the year. I like
But
it too. You get, like, a lens.
well, yeah, it still matters, like, when you're born 'cause it's a snapshot, but then it's, like, good to know for, like, the year ahead, like
Yeah, it's a little bit more personalized just for, like, the year 2026,
yeah.
which is
Okay.
I mean, I can also, like, put your other one up just to, like, look at it because sometimes it's nice to see, like, where you're gonna have a lot more lessons, I guess, that are, like, emphasizing, but we'll do that later.
Fun.
Yeah, and then you get, like, the nodes of this year, so your south node is now oh, your north node is in Pisces and your south node is in Virgo. So we can like think of this solo return chart as yeah, just for the year. So and I find it
Mhm.
helpful for like maybe goals or like getting tuned in with like where you could focus the most so that will help you with your goals. Um like for example, last year I had an Aquarius rising on my solar return and I was like definitely socializing a lot and it was helpful. So, and that helped me like achieve my goals. And it looks like you're gonna have a very like putting it into concrete reality year and possibly, yeah, a very psychic year because you're gonna be having Hecate in the first house with Juno. So that kind of feels like initiation energy, like even more so. Um,
Mhm.
Yeah. So stepping into something that's very big, it feels like, and like maybe seeing it more dimensionally, like in this reality. Luckily it has you have a big first house this year, it looks like. So it's all about like really developing like your outward appearance, I guess, and like how people perceive you, like websites or how you're promoting yourself, like is gonna probably just like exponentially get more like expanded upon.
Okay.
Good year for socializing.
Okay.
And making connections because you're gonna have an Aquarius moon too. And which could be nice because Aquarius moons, I feel like, have like a way of separating themselves from their feelings, and which is weird to say, like, is a positive thing because it can be a positive thing. Um, luckily, natally, you don't have an Aquarius moon, right? Or wait, you do.
I have a Leo moon,
Okay, you have a, so yeah, you have a warmer moon
but
natally,
I'm
so
an
it's
I'm an
like,
Aquarius sun.
um, yeah, you have a lot of like things that like keep you in your feelings as opposed to like other Aquarius moon types that I've seen or like sorry, Aquarius types in general. But yeah, I feel like you're gonna be able to like kind of deadwall people a lot this year.
That's good.
Like keeping good boundaries, like it will be really supportive. And making sure, you know, like I just said, they're balancing that though. You might like find some experiences where maybe you feel like, okay, now I need to like warm up again. Like and be a little bit more vulnerable and open to people because Capricorn and Aquarius are really good at like being very, you know, stern on their word and like consistent with things. Whereas like Cancer energy is a little bit more chaotic and a little bit more softer on the edges. Like they'll have like a general idea of what they want to do, but they'll totally okay if like people like distract them along the way. You hear what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
like this is a good year for concentrating for sure. Um, but like throwing that out there is like being mindful of that like more feminine quality and like maybe like experimenting with um being vulnerable to certain people, I guess. And like nurturing, I guess, and like all that like other softer, like more chaotic stuff. Cause I feel like you might like tip over into the edge if you like are too cold and stern throughout the year. Not
Okay.
that those are negative things, but it's just like you don't wanna go through the whole year of 2026 and then be like, "Where did all my friends go?" You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, and
Luckily I have a pretty good support system.
yeah, that just could happen. It's interesting too because it looks like you're kinda having, like, a renaissance of a lot of, like, action on natal planets that you have anyways. So, this is interesting. Yeah, like, Lilith is conjunct your Pluto.
Fun.
That's return yeah, and your solar return. Your Venus is gonna be the solar return chart. Venus is conjunct your natal sun, which is nice. So yeah, that's kind of like
Oh, is
this
that like
concept of like
love?
illumination and well, yeah, I mean, it's kind of like what I was saying. Like I feel like you're gonna be able to almost I've been watching a lot of the Muppets, but it's like Miss Piggy people, like, how she, like, corrupt,
Oh,
you know?
yeah.
It's like, "Bitch,
So,
get out of the
does that
way."
mean I might have, like, an okay love life?
I think you're gonna have a lot of power,
Okay.
like, in the situations at hand here.
Yeah.
Like, it's almost like dominatrix situation. But yeah,
Damn, that's
and
so cool.
Vesta is gonna be is in the solar return chart, and Vesta is a goddess of, like, um, the hearth, right? The center, like, keeping the fire alive, but in, like, before Rome and before, like, Greece, it was the men whatever, before that, more Lemurian times, timeline shit. Vesta was, like, a goddess associated with sacred sex, and,
Ooh.
concept of, like, the Vestal virgins is actually, like, I think men and women could go see them, but, like, you would go to these, like, women, these sex priestesses to, like, convene and, like, unite with, God, basically, like, with Source. So, like, they were essentially, like, virginal because they were conduits of God. And then when the masculine started to take over more of our consciousness, their role got turned into the flame keepers because that's essentially the same thing. Like, they're keeping life alive, like a pure spirit to God alive, right? Through
Mhm. Yeah, I have a lot of power with, like, sacred sexuality, so that makes, like, a lot of sense. It's, like, one of my main and I kinda
yeah.
do I feel like I do feel like if I were to, like, been kind of, not on that on, like, like, having sex or whatever, but if
Mhm.
I were to have, like, a connection, it would for me, it would have to be sacred, it would have to be,
Right.
like, divine, and, like, if I were to engage with anyone for any reason, it would have to be in that light, so
Right. Because it is sacred, and, like, there's different
yeah.
levels of sacred, and it can be extremely healing, or it can be extremely not, you know? And it's hard, it's taboo. It's something that's very much
Yeah.
on the fringes. But, um, it's hard for us to understand that, like, prior to the masculine era, prior to them understanding, like, where babies came from, they used to think it was a mystery, like, they would just fall out of women, basically, like,
Wow.
there was orgies, like, everyone was having intimate relationships with one another in a way, that is hard for us to understand nowadays. Um, but I actually, like, have spent enough time, like, sitting with it where I'm like, "That makes a lot of sense because it everyone has, like, a sense of, um, parent, like, paternal instincts towards whatever offspring is born through that because no one really knows whose it is. So there's, like, no dividing line of, like, whose is no one
Yeah,
knows, right?
totally.
So, like, people are a little bit more, like, just being, um, which it doesn't exist really anymore, but I do know that tantra, like, you might be someone who was born naturally with tantra instinct, right? Because people there's a variety of people, and I know from experience that, like, some people I don't enjoy having intimacy with versus other people I do, and I think it's because, in my opinion, like, I have a little bit more of, like, tantra instincts, and I spent enough time, like, the kind of being linear and thinking about differences between people, and I'm like, "Oh, this person tends to breathe like this, like, the way that they conduct their energy is similar like this," and then, like, researching tantra, it's like, "Oh, I'm intuitively doing that." And
I
you
have to,
might be
like, look
doing that
into it
too.
more.
It's pretty
I have sorry, go
it's a
on.
wide conversation, tantra in general, but I think the biggest thing of it is breath. And just absorbing as much information as you can about it, I think would help you understand it because it's just like
Okay.
almost like karma. It's been explained so many different ways, it's confusing. But it has a lot to do with just like how you hold your chi essentially. And our chi is linked to our breath in a lot of ways,
Cool.
which
I'll
is
have to
our
go down
mind.
that rabbit hole and, like, study tantra a little more. I'm like, yeah, I'm totally open to actually having, like, intentional sexual experiences with people, but it's like I feel like it's hard to find the people that, like,
So much
that can do that, you know what I mean?
it's real, but I also think it's, like, primal and a way to kinda help connect you back to, whatever this, like, goddess priestess energy is, because talking about, like, sacred sexuality, that's, like, a huge really feminine thing, and that is one of the biggest divides that we see nowadays in the current, like, zeitgeist that's, like, mostly patriarchal is, like, kind of unfortunately women being controlled through their sexuality. Like, we
Yeah,
are essentially in a mirror to what I was saying about your story. It's like we're kinda all held captive just by being born female on this world, you
yeah,
know? Like, immediately, we're all eyes are on us, you know? Like, we can't
yeah.
go into a room naked without being sexualized, like, unfortunately, like, it's a thing.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah. Um, I feel like I lost my thoughts on that because I get so, like, spicy on it. Oh, because it's such a difference, right? Like, if we were to, like, take back our sexuality, then maybe people would just realize it's pretty normal and it'd be neutralized, right?
yeah, I
Um,
have to really work on that. It's just, like, there's so much I feel like there's so much, like, blockage there in general, for me at least. Yeah.
it's hard. It's a hard one because it's like the snake,
Yeah,
you know? Like,
yeah,
it's like there's something definitely wrapped like, some venomous snake wrapped around something that could, like, help cure us all of, like, the weird logical sickness that is affecting us.
eh,
Humia. Okay, so Humia is, like, standing out to me. I'm just gonna, like, say it before we run out of time, but
okay.
it's this asteroid that's in your natal chart. Let me go back to this. So, yeah, solar return, that was, I feel like, a good chunk of forecasting for that. And then here's okay, there you are. Oh, Humia, where'd you go? Oh, here it is. I think off the top of my head, Humia is, like, a Hawaiian goddess, I think,
Cool.
or some islander goddess. But she's conjunct your Vesta in your natal chart, and I believe that she has to do Bohemia with, like, regeneration. So, like, this concept of, like, being so abundant in nutrition and, like, soil and stuff like that, that you can, like, grow, like, what is it, like, foliage and stuff. Like, I think this goddess, like, literally grows, like, foliage on her skin and stuff like that. So, like,
Oh,
this concept of this being that's just, like, almost, like, one with nature and constantly abundant and, like, growing things off of them, is standing out as something to talk about because it's conjunct Vesta, and it kinda goes with that, like, concept of, like, healing and, like, regeneration in this way that's a little bit more earthbound and a little less, like, underworld, like, only you know what I mean? Like, this is, like, in
yeah.
the middle this is you ever
I'm
talk about
stepping out of the
underworld?
underworld.
This is, like, the middle world, like, Humia.
I'm not in the underworld this year.
You're not in the underworld, you're coming out of it.
Yeah, no,
You're
I feel
making your
that,
your
yeah.
grand debut. Um, but I do think, like, trusting this, like, concept of, like, sacred sex sacred sexuality, being able to heal through it and, like,
Yeah,
working in this reality is really good and important for you because I think having this, like, awesome level of creativity with your Leo moon and then Jupiter in the 11th house is, like, you will heal people through, like, your expressions of creativity because you have, like, almost a compulsive instinct to express yourself in a way that's considerate of other people and, like, communicating with them on a way that can, like, cross timelines and thresholds. And, like, yeah, this year I feel like you are gonna be able to have a way of communicating that into, like, the matrix that we all live in, which is this machine that we all have to participate in, right, that creates money for us. But I think you'll be able to maybe, like, kinda create something that's a little bit more regenerative for you. Like, you can, like, set up a system that's really gonna be like, "This is sage wormwood, like, this is my press kit, this is that." Like, you'll just have, like,
yeah.
everything, like, ready, and then that way you can kinda, like, take time for yourself and, like, do more energetically present things that, like, will help the world. Because one thing I've been noticing is a lot of, like, sensitive people, um, are starting to realize that they need to, like, get away from bigger cities, or if they are in a big city, and they don't plan on leaving, like, taking time away from people in general to, like, nurture yourself, and I guess that would echo what I was saying is,
I'm
like,
kinda feel that way, yeah.
yeah, like, kind of going into that, like, more Cancerian side of yourself, like,
I'm going to Mexico soon, so makes a lot of
yeah,
sense.
yeah, spending the
I
time kind of, like,
feel
in
like
your own inner world, like, allowing
yeah,
yourself to feel comfortable so that you can, like, have a mental consciousness and perception that allows you to really be available for people. Because I feel like your presence is just helpful, right? And that's, like, one thing that I've been really learning as a human is, like, literally just by being and keeping ourselves healthy and happy is really helpful for the world, especially when we're, like, coming in with these, like, blueprints that are like, "Oh, I
yeah.
was literally in the beginning of the beginning, and I've been around at every beginning and end, and now and here I am again." Like, how do I deal with all this energy and information coming in? Like, I'm definitely need to be a part of this movement, like, I can't hide underwater, but, like, you kinda need to because we're in these meat suits, and it's, like, over stimulating, you know? And
It is,
that's
yeah.
it's
A
like,
lot.
I don't know, autism is a thing, it's a spike, like, everyone seems to be on the spectrum, right? And it might just be because these beings are processing so much information that they have to be left alone to communicate it to us, like, denser conscious, like, earthlings. But yeah, I think it'll be a good year for your artistry, your performance, and yeah, like I said, healing with presence and also just understanding your value and self-worth so much that you value really self-care and, like, spirituality in ever whatever way that is, like, meditation, I feel like it's thrown around a lot, but I think just doing anything that allows you to keep your mind-body connection and, like, understanding
Um,
different bodies, you know, like your astral body and all that, like, getting to familiarize yourself with those will be good.
Yay, thank you. I just wanna say one more thing. My one teacher would say that, like, you don't even have to, like, having like a high, like, vibration and being in your, like, energy, like, spiritual energy. She's like, "You don't even have to, like, go out and, like, do anything. You could just be, and you'll still affect everything around you."
Yeah, exactly. We really underestimate, like, how powerful we are. So, simply by doing nothing and being in your own space, like, yeah, physically, you might be perceiving that, but energetically, like, the things that you don't see are emanating so far.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, it's true. Well, cool. I'm happy we got to connect.
That was great. I hope this is, like, a good, like that was a great conversation. I appreciate you so much.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people will like a lot of chunks of that. I'll probably go
Think
through
so too, yeah.
I might just post the whole thing. I don't know. Sometimes I get all weird. I'm like, "Ah," but, I'll leave it cute. Either way.
Yeah, I feel like that was really good, and it, like, went into the depth in a way where it's, like, could show other people, like, where they could go with it, you know?
Yeah, we're all unique, but we're all, like, echoing stories that
Yeah, we all are echoing, like, streams of consciousness stuff, like, it's like
we're all one.
yeah, yeah, we're figuring it out, and I feel like this year is gonna be like a really I feel I'm like and I do feel like I'm grateful you said that. I do like feel like I'm going out of the fucking underworld because it's like I feel like last year I was really in the underworld, you know, and I was really just like the past like, you know, since I had the really insane spiritual awakening with,
Mhm.
thing.
Mhm.
But yeah, just it's finally able to fucking like come out of the ground, be like still
That's
go to visit
good.
sometimes just to chill, but you know, being able to like be on the earth and just like chill, like and just be like I
Yeah, you
feel
can
like just
accept
like
the earth now for what it is.
yeah, kind of I feel like just like being and like stepping into it, you know, and like that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
You can, like, appreciate it more now too, and not, like,
Yeah.
criticize it, I guess.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, happy Friday.
You too. Hope you have a good day, whatever you end up doing.
Thank you. Bye bye. Before you go, if you would like to get a consultation with me and potentially end up on my YouTube channel, go to my website, www.galacticmythology.com, and sign up for a consultation under the name Community Astrology Offering. This offering gives you 50% off my normal $88 asking price and makes it $44 for an hour of my time. And I can really dive deep, as you all have discovered with the watching of this video that is now over. So please indulge on this 50% off opportunity. I don't know how long it's going to last. And depending on when you're watching this video, it might not even exist anymore. This way, I get to passively create content and share this with my YouTube community and, in theory, help other astrologers learn astrology better because I believe that we learn through experience. That's why ultimately I titled this Living Astrology because it is honest, raw, and present.